But first, 2 people have been arrested in connection with the murder of 5 women in Mthwalume in KwaZulu-Natal. Police have confirmed the arrests but are not releasing any further information. Dasen Thathiah is keeping an eye on developments there. So what more do we know, Dasen?
Well, Dudu, as you mentioned, this is breaking news, so it's just come in moments ago. That confirmation from police after we received information from our sources in Mthwalume, those that have been close to the investigation, they told us that 2 people had been brought in connection with these murders. Police have confirmed just that there have been these 2 arrests. They are waiting for some feedback to compile a full statement, including some comments from the Provincial Commissioner in KZN. What we understand just from our conversations with our sources is that these suspects were found in possession of items that were belonging to the deceased. Now, it's not clear exactly which of these victims those items belonged to, but also something else that the investigation will have to now establish is, did these people buy those items, or were they the ones that took them from the victims themselves? So hopefully some of these details will be clarified as this investigation unfolds and when we do get our hands on that statement from the police.
Sure. Do we have any idea where these suspects are from? Are they also from Mthwalume?
Well, yes, they were arrested in the area. And this comes after a very intense investigation. You'll know that there's been a lot of police presence there in Mthwalume, particularly over the past few days. 2 of those victims' bodies were discovered just this week alone. We were there. We also saw that search teams were out in force looking for any other clues that they may have found in those fields. That search was put on hold yesterday, and that was mostly because it's quite an expansive area. Police covered as much as they could, and they also had then appealed to the community to assist if there was anything suspicious that they saw, or like in the cases of these 2 women that were found this week, it was a bad smell that had alerted community members. If there was anything like that, police had asked the community to come forward. Over and above that, you'll recall there was also a reward that was put out by a local farmer, Sia Gaza. He had offered 20,000 rand to anyone who could come forward with information that could lead to the arrest and conviction of these suspects. So things have been moving this week, and that's possibly why there has been this significant breakthrough in the case.
Right. What are your sources telling you about reaction to this latest news of the arrests from the community? We saw earlier in the week women and men of Mthwalume coming out and speaking strongly against these murders.
Well, they were very upset when we spoke to them earlier in this week. As you know, particularly the women, they were scared for their safety because they didn't feel safe walking on the streets knowing that there was a person or people that had committed these murders. The families themselves, Dudu, we also spent time with them, and they were criticizing the police just yesterday when we interviewed some of them, and they were saying that at the time of some of these girls having gone missing, they felt that more could have been done. Now that's, I understand, quite a natural feeling, especially when there is someone that's missing in a family, and they wanted to see more being done. That sentiment was shared by residents just in general after the discovery of those bodies, because they wanted to know that the person who had committed the crime had been arrested. We will be going back to the community to find out how they are reacting to this information. The police minister is also expected to visit the area tomorrow. That was after calls from the community to have further intervention. It'll be interesting to hear what he does, or rather what he says to the community to reassure them during this very troubled time.
And perhaps he might give us some information. We are expecting him at any moment now to give us details of the quarterly crime statistics. Police initially suspecting that this could be a serial killer on the loose. While information is thin at this moment, has that been ruled out?
Not just yet. Police are still taking that position that they will be guided by the investigation. And considering that these suspects have only just been taken in, and as I mentioned, sources had told us why they were taken in, I can only imagine that it's going to take some time before they get to that stage. It's previously, when we had spoken to the provincial SAPS about that, and that particular question about whether this is a serial killer, they had pointed out that they were looking at the cause of death in the various cases, and they were trying to find a common link. But one of the stumbling blocks almost was that in the first case, first two victims, that was considered to be an inquest because the cause of death hadn't been established yet. The bodies were very badly decomposed. But in two other cases, stab wounds were found in the victim. And in the last case that we saw this week, the woman had been strangled by her own underwear. So police were saying that they were a bit skeptical to categorically state that it was a serial killer because there was a slight difference in the way this killer or killers had operated.
Let's leave it there and wait for more information. Thank you very much, Dasen Thathiah.